Hello! How is it going, buckaroos? Live today for the second time here in Swiss Stage. We're covering G2 T1 today, and it's gonna be, well, it's a quick series. Tomorrow we will have the FlyQuest versus HLE series to cover. This one's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just gonna quickly check audio and all that jazz. See how good it is. Okie dokie. I'm gonna actually lower the music. So, hopefully, this is still playing, because it doesn't look like it on the actual bars. Anyway, I've got a thing on a nice little image right now of Caps. There we go. That's actually pretty cool. Anyway, G2 T1 today. I'm ready and raring to go. So, let's get into draft for the first game of the series. It is G2 on blue side, T1 on red side, and Swiss Stage has divulged into Yone, and G2 have really prioritized this pick. Aurora, another good flex pick between mid and top, that's getting removed. And looking at G2's side of things, they've removed the Braum, which leads me to believe they want to go for their traditional MF sort of comp. And Brand gets removed here, so it does make sense that they pivot to a stronger jungle. I mean, Zyra is still technically an option if G2 wanted it, but they've gone for Nocturne. And this leads me to believe that the Orianna is to follow suit now in 2-3 for G2. However, as a whole, it's typically only going to be useful if T1 don't pick it. Now, T1 have gone for the Ari, which is a Faker classic. I mean, for Christ's sake, he's got a 300 quid skin for this champion. Now, that gets locked in, which leads me to believe T1 are kind of aware of what's to come, and I think they'll presumably pick mobility in their comp to avoid the combo. Skarner's also a good option in terms of the fact that you can lock up these targets. I love Skarner at the moment in the meta. Just this tanky bruiser jungler. Go Heartsteel, get more and more health. Grasp if you want to go for that extra large amount of health pool. But it's a strong jungler. Orianna makes sense, and this is where I think G2 tend to lock in their support. So, what is there up and available? There's Rakan, Nautilus, Rel. I think Rel would probably be their best bet here. You've got, honestly, the engage of the Shockwave Paranoia, combined with the Magnet Storm. It's a pretty solid combination of champions. But they're actually prioritizing the Jax, and this is going against the G2 grain of things. Typically, they give Broken Blade 4-5 so that he can weather down the 2 ban phases and kind of get a stronger matchup. Now, this does force T1, more specifically Zeus, to lock in his top laner here without getting the counter banned. And Gragas is that more classic counter to the Jax. You belly bop him as he tries to counter strike and jump on you, and realistically it just stops the combo coming out from the Jax and you get away scot-free. Now we start to see supports being banned out. The Rel, I'd expect the Leona or the Nautilus to get removed out here as well. I think that G2's comp as a whole typically don't need a strong bot side. It does look like the MF angle with the Braum ban, as I said earlier. It's whether or not T1 want to ban it, because Guma could quite easily pick it up. Varus is an option in the meta right now. Kaiser is there still. There's some good picks here left on the table for both teams, and Kaiser gets removed here, so G2, either they ban MF or they give it over. They're going to ban the Kench, so yeah. This is leaning into that MF angle. You remove the things that can stop the bullet time. This is basically G2 saying, you cannot play MF by the look of these bans. It just screams like Guma cannot play MF, so G2 will prioritize it here on 4. And personally speaking, you pair it up with a Rakan, and that would probably work well. The Ziggs would surprise me from Hansama. It's not something we've seen from him. Okay. I was thinking MF, because that's all he seems to have been playing during LEC's season finals, and then the summer split. But that's his Draven. And he has a lot of history on this pick, including against T1, I believe. This man is an absolute menace when he gets his champion. And when you combine it with an aggressive champion like Nautilus, this is a very hard bot lane for T1 to play. And I think this is the first game where we're going to see a lane swap. Presumably, because it just screams lane swap for T1. The Jhin cannot farm early into this such aggro bot lane. G2, in my opinion, have a strong draft. I like the Leona, it makes the most sense here. Because you can kind of ease of access onto this Draven without being countered by Nautilus. I do like this draft though. Overall for both teams, you've got a very obvious teamfighting comp for G2, where you've got this combo of the Paranoia Shockwave versus this very strong mobile minus the Jhin comp for T1. But the Jhin doesn't have to get into range of this combination if he just plays well. I think this comes down to how these two comps play out against one another more than anything. I think G2 realistically need to lock down Gumayushi. The issue is, Guma's probably going to go for Cleanse Flash as his summoners. He'll also have then maybe a Mikhail's from his support, or he goes for the QSS himself. So he's going to have a lot of safety from the combinations that G2 want to put down. However, it's whether or not he's able to press them buttons in time. That is this story. And it comes down to also if G2 can execute this Shockwave combo. There's a lot on the line here. A place at quarterfinals as these two teams enter the Rift for the first time today. So, hopefully, we see a standard fan of 5 between the two teams to kick us off. I do expect the lane swap. And just watching where Carrier goes here, he's hovering mid. And that's usually the telltale sign for the lane swap. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen late. And I'm just looking at G2's combo. Hans is pathing up to the top side already, or he's in a position where he can transition up there. Basically, it looks like G2 want to match the lane swap. As much as it doesn't benefit them, it doesn't benefit anyone if they lane swap and match it. So, interestingly, G2 are ranked 5th in the world as Mickey rooted. The hook does not hit the wall, the charm lands, and he is a dead Nautilus. First blood over to Gumayushi. And let's be honest, T1 get a quick and easy kill. But we have to consider what was actually invested there. I mean, the big thing is Faker has to start charm. I didn't actually see what the Jhin went. if he went W or not. We'll see in a few seconds if he's gone Q, because he'll probably try to clear out the back minions. Now, the issue here is, this is really hard for Hans Sama actually, because Mickey took an L early. It means he's late to lane, so Hans is actually giving up lane pressure, which is not a good thing for a Jhin to be doing. As a whole, Jhin kind of wants lane control, and he did go W start, so that's the only solace here for Hans Sama in the bot lane, is Jhin hasn't got the optimal starting skills. He's going to be a little bit more hard pressed to get level 2. The issue was, because Mickey was dead, Hans didn't want to push the wave. And now it starts to kind of self-right. G2 hit level 2 in that bot lane themselves. Mid lane, we're sitting at level 2s across the board. Owner, though, he's hit level 3. And he's got an easy path into mid lane with a good path here. Caps doesn't flash, which is actually baller. Electrocute procced, but the charm goes wide, meaning Caps just gets to walk out scot-free. He did so well there to avoid the Skarner E that he didn't get trampled by it. So a very well worked dodge there by the G2 mid laner. Back to the bot side. Hans has actually managed to wrestle lane control here, which is surprising. It doesn't... Well, T1 have given up a level here. G2 hit level 3 first, so that's why that's happened. Bit surprising considering T1 really should be able to ascertain pressure as the hook lands. Leona's just going to put the shield Daybreak on. They have now hit level 3 in the bot side for T1. Cap's getting aggressive here. Level 4's online for these mid laners. So, very healthy. Keep your eye on Owner. He's going to spot the Scuttle Crab's gone. Wasn't spotted by it, so Caps is in a difficult situation now where he could be pinned in. The rock's going to be picked up, and Owner and Faker looking to collapse in. Watch for the charm as it lands, and now the Skarner pounces into action. Isn't going to go too aggressive as Yike shows up to protect his mid laner. Realistically speaking, I think Caps is going to look for the push-in of the wave as the hook's going to hit a minion. Mickey in a difficult situation, going to be tagged up, Deadly Flourish lands, and now the all-out comes in from Hans Sama. He's able to get the execute off here, and that is a kill back in favor of G2. That looked a bit dicey, to be honest. The way Mickey pathed back to lane certainly could have been pretty bad. Now, what I like now is Caps is actually freezing the wave a bit, which has forced Faker to stay in lane. Overall, G2 are actually playing a decent early game, considering they gave up first blood. As we watch this play again, the hook goes wide, but all of T1's EC goes onto Mickey. Now, Nautilus, pretty tanky, does get a shield, and Hans is just able to free fire into this Leona, who doesn't have the same resistance early. That means that Hans gets so much gold, and you can see there by Dylan Falco's reaction, he realised Mickey really shouldn't have been there. So, with Grub spawning in 15 seconds, T1 switched their bot lane up to the top side. That's put Zeus in a bad situation here, as Hans is just free fire in. Level 6 is on this Gragas, and the Gragas is on the wrong side of the rift. Hans is looking to run him down, but the health bars favouring the Gragas now. Oh, it's an outplay in favour of the T1 top laner, and possibly more going to come through here as they look to catch out Mickey, but it's not going to be too much. Initially, on the bot side, it looked like Hans had got the pick, but oh boy, he misplayed that. He misplayed that entirely. You never chase down a target into brushes. It gives them so much outplay potential, and Hanswell felt the wrath of the Gragas. Gragas's innate sustain coming through there with the passive heals just really made it an easy solo bolo for Zeus. Now this puts Hans in a bit of a difficult situation, to be honest. Yes, he did get the early cash out, but he does lose out on quite a bit of stacks that he just built up. He's now in a situation where G2 switched up to the top side. They were playing for top lane, for Christ's sake. And because he died, it means that G2 lose the pressure on the bot side, so they can't go for a double objective play. That, as a whole, is pretty bad, because if Hans was able to stay alive down there, G2 could have probably got grubs and transitioned that into an immediate Drake. And thus, T1 were further behind them where they should be. Because let's be honest, G2 kind of want to snowball with this Draven. That's the name of the game, is snowball. And if they're unable to, then it's very easy for T1 to just play for the late game. They've already got a scanner in the game who's built to sustain, survive for the long haul. You got Grasp on your top laner who gets further and further ahead, does more and more damage. It's a full AP Gragas, I should point out, and that usually is very burst heavy. And you look at G2's comp, to be honest, the Draven and the Orianna, quite squishy, to be honest. So it's very easy for Zeus to pop a target if they, I don't know, get picked off by a Skarner ultimate. So, here we go. A minute 50 to the next Void Grub spawn. The two teams really are just going to stick it out till then, I feel. There shouldn't be really any action. Just looking at the minimap. Hans is being pushed in on that top side. The Gragas getting a little aggro. Mickey is pushing up here. Possibilities of pick off if the bank doesn't come through in time. They're not going to push the tempo, and instead it is just going to be a free easy back for Zeus in the top lane, as well as Hans and Mickey for G2. So the top lane stays pretty stable. Mid lane fairly even as well. Caps and Faker trading the waves effectively. Obviously, an assist in the favour of the T1 mid laner gives him the slight gold advantage, but it is minute. And G2 and T1, Grubbies are up in 40 seconds. They pivot up to this mid lane and top side of the map, and Hans Sama could be in a bit of danger as Owner is hunting for the G2 ADC. Actually, it's a lot of G2 hunting for the Skarner, just looking at it. Yike's going to secure the Scuttle Crab. And now the Void Grubs become pretty impactful if G2 are able to secure them. 6 Grubs on the table. G2 only need to secure one more to get the Void Might spawn. They aren't going to be able to do so, and this is a weird thing. T1 gave up so much pressure in the bot side with Zeus not being there. It's allowed Broken Blade to kind of trade for an advantage for G2. G2 actually have scored a grub, so they don't need to make the play, but instead they're going in. The Paranoia and Shockwave combo is going to come through here on the bottom side of the fight. We've got Broken Blade just positioning so Zeus can't fight, but on the top side of it, it's Faker, it's Owner, finding the kills. Hansama is able to get one back. He's going to get 2 back in favor of G2. And in the end, that pointless split fight cam made it so that we missed one team fight out entirely. So the big thing to talk about there, a couple of kills picked up for G2. I'm pretty sure it's the same on T1 side of things. A grub was secured by G2, meaning that that's a big outplay. As bot side, Broken Blade forced to flash as Faker TP's in. That's probably a play in favor of T1, to be honest. But let's take a look at this fight once more. Simply put, G2 go for the combo. Hook in onto Leona. The combo hits 3, including Faker, but he's so goddamn easy to dodge out the rest of the combo. On the back side of it, Ona's just killing everyone. With Faker able to free hit as well, Mickey re-engages for the play, but already Hans is gonna fall, so he doesn't overcommit. In the end, it's an even trade outright in terms of the fight, but G2 have the advantage with the 5 Void Mites. They secured the last one as well as a hook lands. That's going to be on to Zeus. G2 shouldn't overcommit here, but because they've forced away T1, that's the first tower of the game for G2. Faker has already secured the bot lane tier 1, but G2 have 5 members up here. They realise that there's nothing on the bot side map for them, considering Drake is going to be secured by T1, and Cass goes in and G2 are looking to fight. Zeus is going to be the first target, and G2 are able to kill him off. It is a 1-for-1 trade, but the shutdown goes in favour of G2. And that is a massive play to get the top laner, and a big bounty into the Draven's back pocket. Now Gumayushi, he spots Broken Blade, isolated, didn't back with the team, won't overchase. The issue is, G2 overcommitted for that play, and Faker is able to secure almost a second tower off the back of it all. G2, this is the issue. When you overcommit to one side, you best get paid for it, because chances are, 9 times out of 10, the opposition are already making a massive counterpunch. And if we look at it as Caps is getting pinned into the wall here, isn't going to fall. But if we go back to what I'm saying, essentially, T1 off the back of that play secured second Drake. They secured bot lane tier 1 in full. They secured a lot of damage onto the bot lane tier 2. And G2 sure got, on their own, a lot of gold off of it. You just look at the gold graph right now, the lane economy snapshot. Faker, he came out the benefactor of that extended play. About a 700 gold lead over Caps off the back of that play, as bot side, that's a solar flare used. Carrier dissuading G2's bot lane from going further onto this tower. Turret plating has fallen off, and I think G2 really are feeling the bite, the pressure to get rolling. They're over grouping as once again 5 members in the bot side. They're looking for the tier 1 as the cask is going to land, and that's Jax isolated from the team. Counter-Strike comes through, but it is not going to be enough to probably keep him alive. Caps is already incredibly low, and the kill comes through as Mickey sacrifices himself. But Broken Blade, isolated, destroyed by Faker. T1 find 2, while G2 overcommit for the tower. And with that play, because there's 2 members of G2 down, T1 don't feel pressured to not push. It's an easy tier 2 secure here. And this is the tempo the LCK teams bring. Zeus TP top, so he's able to secure the top lane tier 1. TP in here, Cabs is isolating himself. The blast plant will give him some solace. But the extent of that play is G2 still losing. They lost 2 members. They've now lost another tower off the back of it. T1 aren't the team that need to snowball. That's G2. And G2 are being out snowballed. Let's be honest. it's a pretty good fight overall for T1. Considering the fact that Tower stayed alive so long, it forced G2 into a situation where they have to overstay. That allows then for T1 to get the picks they need, as G2 just get absolutely deleted. So, back to live we go, with a 1.7k gold lead in favor of T1, and the possibilities of getting a little bit more with the Herald in their back pockets. We haven't actually touched on the fact that Zeus secured that, Owner secured that for T1. Which means that mid lane tower is looking pretty juicy. Considering the fact that we've got a Drake in 40 seconds. Now, technically, T1 don't have to secure this. They can just play it safe and not overcommit, considering they have the lead. But it's T1. They're never a team to deny a fight, and they're looking for it here as Soulflare is going to be used, and the pinch is going to land. Cabs gets hooked up. The Paranoia into the backline cancels the curtain call, and that's Gumayushi on a run on the backside of things. Carrier is going to be ran down by Broken Blade. Back to the real fight, and Gumayushi's popping off as he secures the first kill for T1 as Mickey falls. But Faker, he finds the Draven, and T1 have G2 on the ropes, put on the wrong side of the map, and this should be a pretty impactful play for the LCK 4th seed as the Herald crashes into the mid lane off the back of this play. The tempo is so goddamn high for the LCK team, and G2 in plays that look good still lose out. So we take a look at this fight again. The Solar Flare is pretty good. It forces the shield out from Yike, and there's no safety then for Caps. It's a good 3-man shockwave, but let's be honest, it's pretty dire here for G2. Hans is isolated with Faker running him down. The charm lands, and there's no escape for the Draven. And Faker does so much work to pick up the teamfight win in killing off the Draven. If Hans was given an inch to fight there, it could have been a different story, and G2 may have lost the fight. So, soul point secured for T1. 30 seconds until the Baron dance begins. These two teams, realistically speaking, it's a weird one. G2 feeling the pressure. The need to snowball hasn't happened. And T1 have just played it pretty slow. They're punishing the G2 mistakes because G2 are playing quite loose. It's not the G2 that can bully out an opponent and not be punished like we've seen in the LEC. I think when we've seen G2 play this Draven, they've been able to snowball. And they've been able to snowball because they've played this loose style. The issue is, T1 and other teams that are of elite caliber at Worlds look for more. They realize G2 are making these aggressive plays, so they make a counterpunch on the complete other side. And T1 just are outplaying G2 in the macro and the map. That it's really making this Draven irrelevant, and it's really hard for it to team fight, considering you've got the Skarner, you've got the Ahri, and the Gragas all hunting you down, including Leona technically as well. So it's really hard for Hans to feel safe in these fights, especially considering there's no real protection for him just yet, considering the only things are the locket on Mickey. There's no Mikhails yet. Shirelias, whatever. There's no, it's not Shirelias, it is Mikhails. There's no Mikhails in the game yet. His cleanse is up, but even then, you can avoid what? A charm. You can't then get out the Skarner Pierce. You can't get out of the Solar Flare, the Qs from Leona. There's too much CC on T1 side of the Rift. It's very hard for this Draven to find any impact. But here comes G2 looking for the play. That's the combo. They get onto Guma, and he is shut down. G2 looking for more as they try to kill off Owner. But the Skarner's too damn tanky. The cast goes wide, and G2 still lose Mickey. T1 trade 1-for-1, but G2 find a big pick. It's a massive shutdown as they kill off the Jhin. Now, I haven't had the chance this game to talk about Jhin and how I hate this champion, but T1, they're utilizing it well. They realize it's not the main carry. You've got Anarchy looking for picks. You've got this Gragas that's full burst looking for picks. G2's comp, bar this Jax, doesn't really have resistances. And even then, this Jax resistances are mainly bruiser damage. So he isn't really going to be able to survive this burst comp. So T1 as a whole have the far stronger setup. Now, I am intrigued by some of these builds coming through from here for G2. Is got, I'm pretty sure that's LDR, for Hans Sama. That's a item. To be honest, it's not the most impactful of items, considering the opposition. But here comes T1 as the fight begins. Soul Flare tags onto Caps, but the pincer is massive and Mickey's unable to teamfight. The Shockwave kills off Faker. This is G2's only hope to fight, but here is Zeus looking to kill off Yike. But G2 still survive. It's a 1-for-1 trade. It's support for mid laner. But due to how low these health bars are on G2, T1 easily walk over to this Drake. Soul is on the table. Chemtech Soul for whomever secures it. Caps is TPing in, looking for the play as Broken Blade jumps into the pit. G2 need to find the fight, but the re-engage comes through for T1 as Carrier goes aggressive. Zeus buying time as the Drake is still leashed. Owner secures Soul for T1, and now the fight can continue. Yike isolated, being ran down, is not gonna die. Instead, it's Caps deleted by the Gragas. The curtains are closed on Yike's health bar, and T1 can turn to the Baron if they want to. No jungler on G2 side of the Rift, and they're looking for more. Mickey not going to be hit by the Solar Flare, and T1 are now starting the Baron. Mickey, you don't want to be there. Broken Blade. G2 may look to contest this, putting themselves in an awkward situation. Deadly Flourish lands onto this Nautilus. The Solar Flare not needed because the Zenith Blade does enough. Down goes the G2 support, and Hans is now isolated. Cast, Zenith Bladed down. Faker secures the kill, and he's getting more. Broken Blade trapped, able to jump away. Oh, T1 find 2 more picks that really shouldn't have been given to them, as the Baron goes into their back pockets. The base of G2 opened and cracked as the inhibitor falls. T1 are being handed everything on a silver spoon here as G2 overcommit once more. I really want a teamfight replay as Mickey could be picked off, flashed to avoid the Zenith Blade. You should know T1 are there. You've got to... I'm sorry. This ward should be a big enough sign for Mickey that, hey, T1 are still in my jungle after you watch them walk that way. I'm sorry. That is just a flash that didn't need to be burnt. I'm going to say it. As, hello, Zeus is isolated. Counter-Strike's going to stun him, maybe. He's still somehow able to walk away, and G2's health bars are already ticking. Mickey going to be the sacrificial lamb as Owner once more. The shockwave comes through, but it isn't enough to stop the T1 chase. Cleanse through, hands picked. It's a triple kill for the unkillable Demon King as Faker secures 3. T1. Just on an instant, I turned away for a second. And G2 are all down and out. We haven't had a replay for the past 5 minutes, considering how messy it's gotten. Anyway, pincer out from the Skarner, isolates Broken Blade for Gumayushi to pick up the pieces. Everyone on G2 is falling on the fountain, and the base is gone as T1 take down the LCK first seed, not without casualties, as Owner falls. It's 1-0 to T1. Oh boy. That was a game. It was a game of League of Legends that I think G2 realised they'd fallen out of control of. The simple way of wording it, there was no way that they didn't realise the game was over. Because it looked like a happy game towards the end. It just was so dire for European League of Legends. If this is what peak League of Legends looks like from Europe, it's a bit of a yike. If you pardon the pun. Anyway. Game 2. To round us out tonight. Oh boy. What is there to say about Game 2? I need to finish my coffee. Because I've been non-stop screaming tonight. And I'm stood up. So this is a bit of a... I've been standing up a bit more during these like videos and live streams because it's a little bit easier to work, I feel. Talking into the microphone rather than sitting back, having the chance of falling asleep again. Oh boy, I remember that. That was the World's Final. Not last year, the year before, where I just fell asleep mid-broadcast. It was funny. That was my live reactions. Anyway. Anyway. Oh. Put something comfy on my feet for a bit. Because I've just been sat barefoot on my wooden floor. So it's really hurt my feet. Anyway. Game 2. Will G2 have changed sides? That is the question. Let's get into it. Renata Yone, Aurora for a ban for T1, Kalista removed by G2. Are we getting the exact same bans ran back? Or will we see a Skarner ban? I think Skarner has a lot of power at this world and is really underappreciated. There you go. G2 being the smart ones and removing that. Maybe that's a sign that Yike can't play this pick. I know for well he can. I saw the BLG series. Brand removed away from Yike, so T1 keeping their bans the exact same. So we're going to see some draft change-ups. Braum is left up and available. T1 can go for the Ari again. Vi locked in to counter this Nocturne. We didn't see really that much impact from this Nocturne Ori combo in game number 1 because of how tanky T1 was. I think G2 need to change up their formula here and kind of not go for top lane on 3. They've gone, nah. Fuck. Oh boy. I'm not a fan of top on 3. Especially for G2. I think you could realistically lock in the Xayah or MF or something safe for hands on 3. Not give over this counter pick. Because let's be honest, if you take Xayah here on 3, it does force the Rakan ban out from T1. Now, Rel should be banned out here by T1. Unless G2 do it. That would probably be the smartest thing. G2 ban the Rel. Nautilus Rakan still up. I think we might see the Xayah ban still coming out from G2. They're going to bring the Braum ban here. Okay. So they are going to get that removed from the pool. Without having to ban it on 3. That makes sense. At least for that. I just think, though, the way the draft is shaping up, it looks like a G2 MF comp. With how the bans are shaping up. That's just my opinion. But I don't get why they're not pulling the trigger on the bullet time. I mean, Hans Sammer's Draven's great. But into a Jax, into a Vi, it's very easy to lock down. I think you need some safety. The Xayah would have been such a good option for G2, but they remove it, and I'm so confused by their draft. T1 probably will lock in their support here if they want to, but I think they'll probably go for ADC. Kaiser's up and available this time. Jin's still up and available, and that gets brought in. I think you've got to go MF here. Your draft screams MF comp. You need the burst of an ADC. Kaiser doesn't offer that, in my opinion. I don't like it. This isn't the G2 of season finals or summer. This is a new G2, I feel. Kaiser doesn't fit. I mean, it fits the comp well with how you can use a shockwave and burst out a carry. I get why you're doing it. I would much rather see the Wombo combo. Oh. I'm slightly surprised that this series has had 0 Rumble. By just looking at G2's comp, it screams, like, just look at it. You've got the Nocturne Ori combo. You go AP top, like a Rumble on 3. You can't really get countered too hard by this Jax. I don't think G2 are optimally drafting how they would do in the LEC. I think that they're drafting, considering we've watched them all year long, we've broken them down all year long to understand how they play. This doesn't scream G2 draft at all. It just screams desperate to me. I don't see the G2 where they're playing something strong that they would want to play. This feels like, oh well, great, these are the strong picks, let's just play them so we can at least compete with the LPL and LCK. They're not playing the style that gets them here. Do you know why G2 won MSI? They played their style with the Pyke in mid or top or wherever. They played these random champions like the Yasuo Yone combos because it worked for them. It was their style. This isn't their style. And I think that the meta of picks that G2 work with, the fact that the brand's banned, is one thing that worked for them. But they're not falling to their strengths. They're going to what's meta based, to be honest. I don't like it for G2. I genuinely think that this draft isn't them. I'd much rather have saw K'Sante top for Broken Blade. or a Rumble. Rumble in this situation would be really good into Jin. You think about it, as soon as he opens the curtains, you just turn the flame spitters, the equalizer onto him. What's he gonna do? Because he's gonna either be forced to burn and use his ult, or cancel it and get to safety. This is really... It just feels like a bad comp design for G2 with the Gnar. I get why you do it. It matches the Jax on sides. You have the advantage with the range. But to me, it just isn't... I don't like it. I do not like this draft out of G2. Mickey on Nautilus is a bit of a yikes. We've seen how much he ints on it. And I'm no offense to most European competition, but you aren't T1, you're not literal world champions. They will devour you on this pick. We saw it in game 1, when the Nautilus just kept dying. Game 2, I really don't want the same, because it is honestly looking like a bit of a issue for G2 with this draft. Anyway, let's talk about T1's draft. The strengths. All the issues I have with it. The Vi's really not got a good target to go onto. I mean, you can get onto the Ori and the Kaiser, but the Ori's got a shield, so she can kind of protect herself through it. The Shockwave as well. The Kaiser can easily reposition after you ult her. There's very little, I feel, that is a good target for this Vi. On the other side of it, you've got Ahri for Faker. There's a little bit more mobility now in G2's comp. The Draven is gone, which was easily picked off. You've got a bit more range. So Faker's going to have a little bit harder time to get onto the carries of G2. It is still, however, a bit of a easier time for the Ahri to do work in team fights compared to the Orianna. And this time, G2 aren't going to get punished. Yike, Caps, and Mickey in mid lane. First Blood not going to be secured here. However, Ona is in position. They could get Mickey's flasher at least. I think that's probably what's going to happen. As the collapse comes in, this is almost a repeat of game 1. But it doesn't happen. Instead, T1 get favourable spells instead of a kill and 300 gold. Is anyone else seeing 3 of Mickey's pathing? That was weird. Anyway. Standard starts. No lane swap just yet. Wait for Void Grubs to spawn for them to start happening. And topside. This is going to be a battle of the grasp. Gnar into Jax. It is a little surprising to see Jax get early push. Considering Gnar, obviously the ranged champion up there. Bot side, just keeping an eye on the XP bars. Level 2's going to be hit probably about the same time as Broken Blade. Not going to die just yet. Keep your eye on Zeus going all in for the pick. Though, I don't think he will in this situation. Broken Blade. Close to meggering out, actually. So that's why Zeus isn't overcommitting. Mid lane Caps could be jumped on. Again, Ona going for the play. The assault and battery through. But will not secure the pick. And T1 now have control of mid. And this is what they did in game 1. Did it on the scanner, just pass through mid, force camps out, and then I'll do it again for the scuttle crab spawn. That's kind of what I expect. Anyway, flash by caps to avoid Faker. As Yike comes in, he gets the Q down. Faker probably not gonna flash. Okay, not gonna over chase there, Yike. He could have, but obviously wary of the T1 bot lane actually having the pressure to get out of lane first, and he was unaware of where Owner was on the bot side of Rift, so not going to over chase, which is quite wise. Issue is, Caps did burn flashes top side. Yet again, Broken Blade taking a considerably large amount of damage from this Jax. Owner is in the bottom river looking for some camp steals. He has found the Raptor spawn, which is actually quite nice for him. Caps won't walk down there, I don't think. So, let's keep an eye on Yike. He is just going to clear out his blue? Yeah. Because of Owner's pathing there, it leads... I'm pretty sure G2 will be aware that Devi has taken the Raptors. So, realistically speaking, actually I think it was a Raptors trade, to be honest. Because I think Yike just took Owners. Anyway. Let's take a look at how things are shaping up in this early game. Slight gold lead for T1 by 200. There's Mickey going to be rooted up, targeted here. It's a full 2v2 fight. It's Gumayushi and Hansama trading into one another. The dredge line goes wide here. And that's going to force G2 to retreat immediately. Yike is hovering around this bot side and could possibly go for a play, as Broken Blade could continue to chase. Will not do so, as there's a level 6 now in the Jax's back pocket. And that's a level lead over this Gnar, which is pretty nice for T1. Certainly can look to play through the top side, as... will Broken Blade let him back? Looks like it. Anyway, 16 seconds until Grubbies are on the board, and Mickey played quite far forward here. Will be able to do so. T1 not going to be able to force a play onto him. However, T1 quickly up to this top side of Rift, as Carrier is stopping Mickey from walking into this river, essentially, with where he stood. Faker also gonna enter the river, but G2, they've got 4 members up here to the 3 of T1. The hook's gonna land onto Carrier there. Bit of lollipopping. And now, T1 gonna be chased down. Broken Blade hops forward. Owner taking a lot of damage. The flash comes through to avoid the dredge line, and the engage comes in. Mickey taking a lot of damage, and Faker has ulted, charging forward with the Spirit Rush, looking to get the kills, but T1 don't have the damage and have actually all backed away. G2 probably will secure these grubs. Now, what I am seeing right now is Zaya's taking a lot of damage here from Caps. I'm waiting for the Grandmaster's Might to come through. It is on cooldown, it looks like. So he has used his ult there. So Jax is ultless. G2 had the potential to go for a shockwave play here. Faker will not go for it. I mean, Caps will not go for it. Instead, just going to clear the wave. G2 did secure all 3 of the first Void Grubs. And now, with Drake on the table, they are quicker down to this bot side of the Rift. T1 have kept their bot lane up here as Broken Blade clears up the top wave. And this is, realistically speaking, what I think G2 tried to do in game 1. But due to an overzealous really play from Hans Sammer trying to kill the Gragas, that kind of dissuaded that play. Now G2 have the bot lane mid, so they have mid push. It allows them to transition down into the river. This is well worked. I like this from G2. It's better than what we saw in game 1. Top side, Zeus has gone up top. He has got TP. Broken Blade does not. So, in actuality, T1 are the benefactors in this play, because Broken Blade really cannot match if T1 try to force a play. And I'm just looking at the minimap. Carrier's pushed in to the bottom side jungle of G2, got a ward in the brush, and just past the brush. So, realistically, the entranceways for T1 are marked. So they've got firm control of this Drake. And initially, Broken Blade hadn't TP'd to the top side. If he waited, G2 could have probably contested Drake. That's my humble opinion here. Sadly, now they're on the back foot, and T1 secured the first Drake of the game. Hextech Drake. Chemdrake is up next, so we're probably going to get a decent soul. If it was Cloud Chem, I'd be certainly happy to see the soul, but there's still a chance for a Cloud Rift, which is never the best. But regardless of that, G2 and T1 probably quite content with how this game's shaping up, but we're going to see the backs come through from both teams. The reset's ready as Void Grub's number 2 Electric Boogaloo is spawning. Caps is actually setting up a freeze in mid to slow push it, to be honest. That's the smart option here. Get the slow push makes it so much harder to contest these grubbies because there's a massive wave in mid. As Mickey gonna be cease and desisted up, he is caught, isolated, charmed, deleted from the rift. As Owner once again secures first blood for T1. The first blood king of the LCK strikes firm against G2 yet again. As Broken Blade is looking to trade something back. I think the most important thing here is, for G2, the worst that can happen is it's a 3-3 trade in the grubs. Owner, though, he's looking for a pick instead of the grubbies. As Broken Blade gonna be ran down here, flashing over, the chase down gonna happen. Broken Blade knocked up and deleted. And Owner's gonna get paid with some nice free Krugs. Caveat of that play is G2 will secure 6 grubs. There's no ifs, no buts, no maybes. Because the Vi's on the bottom side of the map, there's no contest for that. As Mickey sees Faker. G2 could get a pick. The hook onto the wall. Mickey misses, but Faker misses as well as the charm goes wide. And now G2 pounce onto the mid laner. The chase down will not come through as Yike overcommits and Owner punishes. G2 yet again overzealous in their plays, hunting for picks. Good hook there by Mickey to deny the Zenith Blade. And now, hopefully we get a replay, because we haven't had one of them in ages. That's what I call a misplay and a half for G2. Okay, we do. Essentially, Mickey denies the back. Actually, Faker just stops it. Now he's forced up to the tower. And he's like, oh god, I'm going to be tower dived. Mickey misses the hook, but Faker misses the charm. Killer Instinct forward. As bot side, Zeus is gone. Caps invested TP and Shockwave to get that pick. That's a big fight as Zenith Blade through. Deadly Flourish also lands. Broken Blade still quite tanky, but he isn't able to go Mega. Yike shows up here in G2. 3 members down in the bot lane. Gonna secure this tier 1. And that's a big pick to get the first tower of the game in favor of G2. I'm intrigued because, realistically speaking, that should not have happened. But I wanted to talk about the replay of the pick. It's simply put, the paranoia was overkill. Faker didn't burn ult until the last second. And when he did, it was the bait in Yike. That's the way it was played. And G2 fell for the bait, hook, line, and sinker, and they got deleted. Simple as that. No other real way of describing it, to be honest. So, how are we standing? 7 plates to 11. T1 got paid off the early game, and that's with G2 securing all 6 grubs. They weren't really able to transition that into much G2. Just yet, anyway. And this is where we're kind of hoping G2 play a bit more of a side lane style. The issue is, their comp does not favour that, as Dredgeline goes wide, but topside, Broken Blade isolated, Hop skipping out to his own demise. T1 find the pick. It will result in the first Drake going over to G2, but Herald's going to be picked up by T1. It's a counterpunch on the other side of the map in favour of the LCK Giants that still favours them, because they can transition this Herald into the next Drake if done well. They're also going to steal away the blue buff, and that's going to be Mickey caught as well, locked in place, and the Jax gets on the board with his second kill. That's a pretty easy pick. The issue is, Mickey was walking in without vision, and he's the guy that has the vision. G2 possibly going to be punished even more as the Spirit Rush comes through. Curtains are opened up as the charm lands. The Zenith Blade does not. The Killer Instinct forward, the Paranoia used. G2 investing quite a bit to try and get out alive. The Shockwave secures a kill as Zeus falls. Dredgeline goes wide, but it's already going to be a trade back as Owner kills off hands. Yike secures one more, and this is a 2-for-2 trade. Actually, it's a 1-for-2 trade in favor of G2. T1 getting overzealous. Actually, it is a 2-for-2 because Mickey fell in the jungle. So we watch this again. It's basically T1 forcing G2 back. The Deadly Flourish timing was a little bit off there, considering Hands cleansed it, as well as a Solar Flare. So it was pretty easy for that to happen. Topside, it's just Owner being able to chase down the Kaiser. There's no escape tools there left for Hands. So yeah, that happens. But to be honest, 2-for-2 trade and the mid lane tier 1 is still favourable for T1. You have to realise they're trading even, if not better, every time they go for them sort of plays. And G2 just aren't able to match it. Right now, 5 members on the bottom side of Rift here for T1. The trade is coming through here for G2 with the Orianna picking up top lane tier 1 for herself. But she's on her own and will only be able to secure that. T1 are pushing for more. The tier 2 in their sights. They don't have Void Grubs, but they do have brute strength to secure that one. Caps isn't able to secure the tier 2, and he's just going to steal away a camp. Faker's already responded up to the top side. Basically, G2 aren't going to be able to get much. And Caps is now in danger thanks to the TP coming in from Zeus. The flank will be stopped as Caps is ran down. Shockwave goes wide. The Paranoia invested as well. And that's an easy pick. 41. And all they have to give up, really, is Zeus' summers to get it. The good thing for them, though, is 4v5 for the next 20 seconds means that they're able to secure pushing topside, considering Broken Blade's on the bot side of Rift. The response from G2 is minimal here. And personally speaking, there's not much more that can happen. Because it's just so well orchestrated by T1. And it is something that the East seem to do so much better than Europe and NA. Is just look for these follow-up tempo plays. I think you've heard me mention it before if you've watched these. I talk about tempo in transitioning winning plays into more winning plays. This is losing plays for T1 being transitioned into winning plays for them. Because they're taking G2's aggression and turning it into profit across the map. And this isn't something you typically will see in Europe. We typically see teams just being over and done with, not really looking for their own outright plays. As Mickey's caught here, Zenith Blade through, the Shockwave combo whiffs, Guma's going to be able to survive, but so is Broken Blade. Mickey will be the first casualty as the curtains open up to no one. And it's just going to be the kill onto Nautilus. As, let's be honest, that's enough. That's all T1 need. The kill secured them Drake. They're also securing pushing the bot side because Zeus is quicker to the punch. He's already pushing for this inhibitor tower. Sure, Broken Blade's able to respond to it, but T1 are just forcing across the map, and it makes it so hard for G2 to kind of shot call this game and make decisions because they're being pushed at every stage, every second, and it's an overall massive brawl that where they are right now, I think they should be forcing it. Force T1 into these awkward situations. Do I think that they're overcommitting for picks? Yes. Do I think they'll get them? Probably. But it's what they lose on their own side. The issue for G2 is the map is kind of being bled dry from them. T1 are slowly but surely securing more and more towers. They're getting the picks, and the picks are enough to secure them objectives now. And you look at G2's comp. Their comp's set to dive into you. T1 have a comp that's welcoming of that because they're looking to turn it around on you. We've seen situations where G2 are trying to make a proactive play, but the reactions from T1 are just better. And that's why we're seeing this game go the way it is. It's because T1 know how to play on the front foot without giving the opportunity to the opposition. If we go back to Worlds last year and how we watched T1, it was very much a one fight and done sort of situation in their games. T1 this time are getting one pick and they're done. They don't over push for more. And that's resulting in them winning. As here comes the fight. The paranoia comes through. The curtains are opened up. and Zeus goes into status. Onto the backside, Gumayusi is being ran down by Yike, but look at the other side of the fight. It's G2 members being ran down as Faker secures Caps' life. They get more as G2 find 3, but look at who's left. It's Broken Blade trying to kill more. Mega Gnar is available, and he's able to trade it back. It's 3 for 4 in favor of the LEC side, and Faker is barely alive. The good thing for T1 is I'm not sure G2 can transition this into the Baron, but it's the best thing for Europe as this fight looks so dire to begin with. As Zeus was buying time, it's a good stopwatch from Caps to avoid the initial damage, but he still puts himself in the firing line. Faker gets a lovely charm onto Broken Blade, who isn't able to mega out just yet. He's finally got out of the exhaust, but let's be honest, Hans has done all the work with Yike to get the kills. The only member that's really alive that can do damage for T1 in this situation is Faker, and he nopes out of there, realizing the rest of his team is just gone. And G2, they find the fight that's needed, and they're looking for one back, as Faker is already down and shut down. It will be traded back as Hans Sama falls, and G2 still looking for more. Mickey is on the chase as the hook goes into wall. Carrier gonna be sacrificed here, and G2, they find a massive fight in the mid lane where they get to. The issue is, what more can they get as already Zeus looking, he sees the red buff. Yike. Not gonna be killed just yet or picked off. The Nord Octon will get his red buff, and he'll probably dono it over to Hans because he's back alive now. So, what happened there? Faker's just hunting for Hans. He goes in, but Yike and Caps are ready and waiting. It's the good Shockwave Paranoia combo that secures the pick. The issue is, Ona's still there, and that's a 6-1-4 Vi. So he's got a lot of damage outright, and will just kill off Hans Sama where he stands. So, we're getting to this awkward state where these two teams really are quite evenly matched in terms of the damage output. The gold difference is shrinking. G2 are winning more and more fights and getting the shutdowns that they need to be on an even footing. The issue is, they're forced to contest these objectives as the Solar Flare lands. It's a massive one as the Counter-Strike's going to go in, but Zeus is isolated by himself. The hook lands. It's a massive hook that gets onto Ona. It will be traded back as Mickey falls. Keep your eyes on Gnar as Broken Blade goes in. He's focusing down Faker, but he's on his own. He dives forward, secures the kill, and Gumayushi's on his own. G2 are winning the fight, and all that's left is this little Jin as he's being chased down by the G2 hunting squad. Caps gonna speed up the Gnar, and this Jin is deleted from the rift. G2 ace out T1, and that should be Baron secured for the LEC first seed. Maybe not. They've not got enough health. Never mind. They should go Drake though. Actually, Caps is here. The squad's back. That's going to be Baron secured finally for G2. Ona is back alive. G2 taking a little bit too long to secure this. So Drake will probably be secured by T1. That's going to be sole point. G2 can't stay on the rift much longer. So we get a replay. Simply put, it's Zeus being caught. They tried to kill off Mickey, but he jumps in on his own. Ona backs away. And yeah, it's T1 isolating. A massive shockwave catches Ona. It's Gnar ultimate, and Faker's not able to really do much. G2 just pick apart T1 in this situation, as they just isolate each member and kill them off. It's a well orchestrated fight from G2, to be honest. But what are they able to get off the back of this Baron? Soul Point was secured by T1. Mountain Soul, a possibility in 4 minutes 30 seconds. These W's from the Kaiser are now starting to hurt as she has the full AP upgrade. So, G2 crack open the base. The inhibitor forfeit because Faker's been chunked. But G2, they get something at least. And now, able to transition this into the mid lane maybe. Broken Blade's pushed it out. They're going to pan down to the bot side. They see a T2 tower in that lane that hasn't been destroyed yet. That's some freestanding gold. Baron up for another minute and 15 seconds now. And G2 have kind of self-righted. Finally have a gold lead for themselves for the first time in this series. A 2k1 at that. T1 still a fighting shot in this game. We've seen them come back from worse. But G2, bear in mind, were behind most of this game. So it is a fairly even footing. And this last tower really should put T1 back into their base. And yeah, no contest from the LCK 4th seed. Realizing the tower's forfeit. Baron's going to wear off in 30 seconds. So G2 just going to take this as a reset Baron buff. And yeah. T1, I'd say, okay with this. They haven't lost too much. The top lane's going to obviously have super minions, but because of what Zeus has done, he's already pushed the wave out, so they don't really have to worry too much about them for another 30 seconds. They do have Owner on the top side of Rift ready for it, if he wants to go secure that wave for himself. But they don't need to. The wave's nowhere near just yet. It's got another wave to clear out before it gets into any sort of situation where G2 need, well, T1 need to contest it. But I'm pretty sure Faker will go clear that one out. Or Zeus, considering the fact Zeus is on his back as well. In actuality, yeah, there we go. Jags is going to get that. Keep your eye on the behind G2. There is TP wards available. And this Jax has got TP. He can easily get into this. So can Faker. G2 trying to open up the base with no Baron minions. The Soul Flare is going to be used. Hands is going to be slowed down. Dinar ultimate comes through only onto Owner. Onto the backside goes Zeus as he's able to catch out Hans Sama. The curtains are opened up and the Kaiser's still alive. G2 though, the health bars are blinking and T1 are hunting. They kill off Hands. They kill off Broken Blade. And hi, Mr. Mickey. You're being ran down by Carrier. The Zenith Blade lands. And that is almost certainly a dead Nautilus. A minute out until the dragon. And this is smart by, honestly, Faker slowed down the kill. You don't need to kill him just yet. Finally, he dies to the minions because Faker did his job. Just look at the death timer on Mickey. 35 seconds. Drake's up in 40. And with the fact the Nautilus is the vision machine for G2, the vision line for essentially Europe is nothing. And this is smart from the LCK 4th seed. Anyway, Charm lands onto Mickey. He gets a bit of chunked and he's had to use his shield already. Hand solar flares, and that is a pretty bad ulti from Broken Blade, considering the fact that it really does nothing for the team. And yeah, G2 just waste their abilities and get ran down. It's as simple as that. Good flash counter strike from Zeus to secure Hans Sama. And yeah, Soul going to be secured here for T1. No Paranoia ready just yet, as it's secured by Gumayushi of all people. The guy really knows how to get objectives. Zeus isolated in mid lane. The Killer Instinct through for Hans Sama. Keep your eyes on T1. They're looking to turn this. The Narulti comes through. The Counter-Strike is massive. And the base in the sights of G2. The tier 3 going to be locked in down. But you think about what was invested there to get that pick. It was Narulti. It was Nocturne ulti. It was Kaiser ulti. 3 ults down. G2, while they are knocking into the base of T1 and have cracked the last 2 inhibitors, the issue is they've invested quite a bit to do so, whereas T1 have almost everything ready and available to turn and burn. The Baron is up for G2 to secure, but so's Owner. The curtains are open just to get vision. They see the Baron is low. Into the pit goes the fire, and it's a smite steal for the T1 jungler. Owner gets the buff, and T1 have hope in this game, considering their base is in tatters. G2, they're going for it. They killed the jungler. It's a 4v5 for the foreseeable future. But the Baron minions make it so much harder to kill the wave. Faker on his own up here. G2 want to force super minions in all 3 waves. Get the double spawn. Put the pressure into G2. A massive shockwave lands, but the re-engage comes through. Zeus is still alive, fighting, securing Caps' life. He's looking for more as the re-engage comes through. Carrier stuns them up, and it's just Zeus destroying the backline. A double kill for the Jax as Faker secures Broken Blade's life, and the continuation as Hans Sama, isolated, alone, being ran down by T1. A massive fight for the LCK team as they kill off all of G2 early. It feels like every world where G2, they have this massive wombo play put up against them by a top laner coincidentally. This time, Zeus stepped up in the fight. He just found the carries, let's be honest. We get the smite steal. We don't really care about that. Let's watch the fight. The hook miss. Faker goes in. It's a dev charge into Shockwave. Faker statuses the Gnar ulti, but the Gnar ulti is pretty bad. Let's be honest. He doesn't get much value out of it because there's no real wall. Broken Blade goes in trying to get the trade 1-for-1, but it isn't much. Carrier gets ran down by Yike, but the fight, it's disastrous for G2. They're unable to get a winning fight there. If they did, we'd be going to game 3. The issue is, Mountain Soul is in favor of T1. That extra resistance that it provides just means G2 have a hard time of killing the targets. That win probability graph. Yeah, it's a bit of a story. Because it really does tell you how this game swung from a T1 dominant game to a G2 one. To now a very evenish one, to be honest. As Faker goes forward with the Spirit Rush. That's an ulti down. But it's not the most impactful one. Gone off the rift. He still has more charges. The charm lands onto Mickey. Probably the best target for G2 for that one to land. Onto G2 looking to keep the pressure up. All 3 inhibs are down. G2 knocking on these Nexus towers. Looking to win one singular fight. They have to play with caution as T1 still have the soul. they still have the strength. Zeus is a massive threat. And the TP flank from Fakers coming through. T1 want this fight. The RE charm goes over the wall as Gnarly does absolutely nothing. Both teams back away. It's a bit of a shaky situation. G2 do get a bit of chip damage down to these Nexus towers. They are slowly but surely chipping away as the inhibitors respawn for T1. They survive the onslaught, but with 30 seconds until Elder, the game deciding fight will happen. I'm keeping my eyes on the minimap, looking for TP wards for G2. Base wards that can crack open these towers. The back door, a possibility. As the hook goes in, G2 look to fight. Owner forced to flash away. It's a big summoner down, invested. Solar Flare lands, and the engage comes through. T1 looking to fight as they've already killed off Caps. Here we go. They've deleted Hans' health bar because Zeus is on a killing spree. He is a god in this game, and he is smiting G2 to the ground. Elder will be secured. Yike unwilling to go for the smite steal. He could paranoia. He has no option. He has full vision. But smite secure for T1 gets them the Elder. And with 10 seconds to spare, they go towards the Baron. The double god buffs will be in the LCK's hands. And G2 had their chance, but they have been thwarted in the river. Baron goes over, and the LCK, they see a base of G2 that can be suffocated, destroyed, and dismantled. And we watch this fight again. We don't get to see the Caps pick. We do get to see the Caps pick. Okie doke. Simply put, the Solar Flare tags onto the Ori. It's a simple cease and desist into full Ari combo. And down he goes. No way for G2 to win this fight now. And everyone just gets ran down. Simple as that. I can't really say much more. The full burst of T1 comes through, kills off Caps, and that's how the fight ends. Now, a minute left on the Elder and Baron up for 2 minutes. T1, they're going to try and force G2 into this situation where they get burnt to a crisp. The base open up as Owner goes forward. He's not playing without reserve. Paranoia used. And onto the backside. The Shockwave unable to come through because Zeus deletes Ori. And G2 being ran down. The 4 members of T1 make it 5 alive. They all kill off G2. And Europe have no real hope in this World Championship. Because the LCK 4th seed takes away their chance of going to quarters. It was looking so good until it wasn't. Simple as that. G2 overplaying their hand. Trying to push T1 into their base. It wasn't enough. My man Zeus popping off in them fights. And G2 just lose out. It's as simple as that. There's no real way of saying it. Other than it was a poor game. Both games, to be honest, were bad. from Europe's side of things. I didn't like the draft for Game 2 for G2. The Gnar ulties at the end started getting sloppy. I don't rate Gnar into Jax, to be honest. I'd much rather have saw the Rumble. Give something that can kind of combine with the Nocturne a bit more. Because then G2 looked so disjointed in them team fights. They were so split, and T1 just were able to run amok. Simple as you like. And that's why the series went to the LCK team. It's because G2 just kept losing out on plays, and the tempo kept getting pushed further and further. And there was no real response to the tempo plays that T1 were forcing. So, crisp, clean win for the LCK side. And yeah, tomorrow we get to watch another LCK team as HLE take on Fly in our second matchup of the week. I'm also probably going to have to make the... I'm also making my predictions video to go live on Wednesday/Thursday. Early morning, basically. Don't want to miss it. Quarterfinals. Looking juicy in terms of matchups. I can't wait to talk about them. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me tonight. My throat is burning after screaming for quite a bit. But hey, that's what you get when you watch LEC. And yeah, with that, I'm going to end it off here. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new if you want to. See you guys tomorrow. Peace out.